What do you mean we have nothing?
Planet Vero Studio is powered by the Nolan Group of eXp Realty. MyNextHomeFinder.com.
Treasure Coast Connector. Connecting residents and businesses of the Treasure Coast. And here's your host, Ellen Contreras.
Well, welcome to Treasure Coast Connector. I'm your host, Ellen Contreras. My company by the same name is one of the show's sponsors, and we help business owners to promote their products and services in the marketplace. We do this through websites, social media marketing, lead generation programs, video production, advertising, PR, articles in the news. All of the details are on the website, www.tcconnector.com, or call 772-925-4557. Treasure Coast Connector, the show, puts a spotlight on local business owners because everyone has an interesting story of why they do what they do. And when we get to know them and do business locally, it strengthens our local economy. So, we all have problems in our life from time to time, and sometimes the ear of a loving and attentive friend is all that we need. Then there are times where we need the advice of a professional. And joining me in the studio today is a woman who has been in the education field for the bulk of her career, dealing with children and parents. And now she has started her own practice, Anchor of Hope Therapy. And Dr. Larthenia Howard, okay, this is a long list of credentials. She holds a bachelor's degree in English education from the University of South Florida. She has a master's in marriage and family therapy from Capella University. And she also has a master's in education leadership from Nova Southeastern University, along with a doctorate from the same university in child and youth studies in organizational leadership. Dr. Howard is a certified practitioner in neurofeedback technology, working with clients who experience PTSD, anxiety, depression, ADD, ADHD, behavior disruptions during adolescence, sleep disorders, migraines, and trauma. And she is an emotional intelligence trainer certified by the Institute for Emotional Intelligence Learning Systems and a master neuro-linguistic programming practitioner. Dr. Howard is also an award-winning author with a number of other certifications and credentials to her name. Welcome to the show, Dr. Howard.
Thank you, Ellen. Wow, take a breath now.
Yes, that is a tongue twister,
yes,
all of that.
For sure.
I had to read that 4 or 5 times before even coming into the studio. But, I am glad that we are here because we are taping this in the beginning of May, okay? And May is the National Mental Health Awareness Month.
Yes.
So this was actually perfect timing.
This was, just right on time. Yes, it was.
Now, before we get into the specifics of what you do and how you help people, I'd like to know what made you want to transition from being a teacher and a school principal, God bless you for that, to then wanting to open up your therapy practice.
Yeah, well, for as long as I can remember, I have had an interest in human relationships, right? In behavior, organization, and how we organize around one another in interaction. So from there, as a principal, as you mentioned, I noticed that children are highly impacted, right, and influenced by those early interactions, especially those interactions with their caregivers. And so for me, after I decided that I was no longer going to be in education and trying to figure out what was I going to do next, it just came natural to me to want to help families. I saw the impact, like I said, in the influence that families have on kids. And I just thought, this is a natural fit for me to go into marriage and family therapy and to use some of those same skills that I had used as a principal, as an administrator, in this field now, in marriage and family therapy.
Absolutely. And so now I was saying before a couple of weeks ago when we were having coffee that the world is going haywire. Okay. And so we're dealing with like the coronavirus, and then there's inflation, and then there's, political issues, the war in Ukraine. So it just seems like we're in this topsy-turvy time. And you can see the stress in kids, in teens, in adults. Okay. So I'd like for you to talk about how you help people cope with these issues, and then like some of the I guess therapy services that address this.
Yeah. So some of the ways that, or some of the services that we use to address it, let's start there first, is we address anxiety. Of course, like you said, there's just so much that's going on in the world that causes people to be anxious, right? To kind of anticipate those things that they can't see, the future. That's basically a summation of what anxiety is, as well as depression. So a lot of our clients who are looking into the past, and that generally causes symptoms that are related to depression. So anxiety, depression, PTSD, we address in our office a lot, grief and different types of trauma. And then, of course, couples relationships and family relationships, interactions is a big one that we address in the office as well. How we do this, I have a framework that I've kind of created. Coming from my education background, I'm always thinking in terms of frameworks, right? And so a framework that I've created are the 3 E's in terms of how I deal with or approach any of these concerns with clients. And so I start out by exploring. And so I want to dig deep into the dirty stuff, so to speak. So it's looking at the presenting issue that a client comes in with, right? And it's also making connections, patterns of connections in terms of communication, how they communicate, because that's so important. And what those early connections were, as I alluded to a little bit earlier, from previous times. I always say that success leaves clues. Yeah. And so does failure, right? So depending on our patterns of where we originated in the early interactions that we had, that leaves clues for us. So we do a lot of that in the exploration stage when I'm working with clients around what their presenting issues are. And then I move into engaging. And in the engaging phase of the framework is where I'm really working with clients in terms of the different types of therapies that I use or techniques that I use. And so primarily I use emotionally focused therapy based on attachment theory and CBT, our cognitive behavioral approach. That's familiar with a lot of people because the way we think really impacts the way that we feel, and then that impacts the way that we behave, right? Yeah. And then the other primary focus area that I'm trained in is solution focused. And so it's looking at client strengths. And so that's the engaging part. And then the last E is then the embracing. So once I have worked with clients in one of those formats or a combination of those formats, then we go into the practice phase, the practice and really solidifying what those skills are and how they can best use them in the context of how they live every day. So nice. Those are the 3 E's. Did I do that? Yep. Yeah. Explore, engage, embrace. Very nice. That's the format that I pretty much use in terms of working with clients. Very good. So now I have to keep referring to my notes so I say these things correctly. So you are a certified practitioner in neurofeedback technology. What is that and what does it do? How does it help? Yeah. Oh my gosh, I love this. So neurofeedback is a technology that was actually explored back in the 1960s, as early as the 50s and 60s. Some people even think in the 1920s in Germany. Oh, okay. It's the same technology. It's a non-invasive technology, same type of technology that NASA has used to train pilots to help focus and attention. Okay. And it's, again, like I said, it's non-invasive. And just think of it as brain training. So just like you would exercise your muscles, right? Your arms, your legs, it's exercise for the brain. And so what we're doing is we are looking and listening for dysregulation in the brain. And by dysregulation, we mean brain waves that are not functioning within the bandwidth or the speed of what a normal brain would function in, right?
Okay.
And when we find that dysregulation, that's where we would place a sensor onto that area of the brain, and the person is sitting there. They're looking into a computer screen, and science, a lot of science supports the idea that when a person or the body can extract information in real time, we can learn how to control whatever those symptoms are, right? So the computer is just a way for the client to be able to, or the brain to be able to see itself. And so as it's looking at itself, and depending on what the brain waves are that we've programmed into the computer to regulate the brain to help it be more healthy, the brain will in itself find those grooves through neuroplasticity. It will find those grooves and train itself. And as a result of that, then you have a decrease in a lot of the symptoms that our clients present with. So some of our clients come in complaining of insomnia or ADD, ADHD, right?
Yeah.
Anxiety, depression, panic attacks, OCD, sleep disorders, poor memory. And so basically, again, like I said, we're just helping the brain to see itself so that it will retrain itself and operate within the confines of the brainwave speeds that are normal brainwave speeds.
That is fascinating. And anything that obviously NASA uses, there's obviously science behind that. And I was thinking as you were talking about that it's great for these serious issues. But I'm wondering, since my husband doesn't really like to vacuum, and all right, neither do I. Can you train my husband to love a vacuum and zip it around the house?
Well, I don't know if I can train him to do that, but I could surely train his central nervous system to calm down so that he's more relaxed when he's doing those chores.
Yeah, I'm going to get in a lot of trouble, not by my husband, but by all the people that know like how wonderful he is. Yes. He cooks, he cleans.
Trained.
And when I say clean, I mean clean up in the kitchen after he cooks.
Awesome.
And the food shopping.
Oh, you can't get any better than that.
Yeah.
He's well trained. I know. He's well trained, Ellen.
Yeah, so that is good. And I can't believe that we are at the time to take a commercial break. But Dr. Larthenia Howard of Anchor of Hope Therapy, we have a lot more to talk about. Stay tuned.
Hello, this is Carol Jean Jordan, your tax collector here in Indian River County. All of our offices are scheduling appointments for in-office services, but you can get that little yellow sticker quicker by using our express lane. It's fast, convenient, and free when you pay with an e-check. Renew your registration on our website and select Pick Up at the Tax Collector's Office. Order before 3 p.m. and you can pick up your little yellow sticker on the same day. Order at irctax.com. That's irctax.com.
Shop the Habitat Restore in Vero Beach, the store that builds houses. The Habitat Restore is where you'll find new and gently used items such as furniture, home decor, building materials, appliances, lighting, and much more. Did you know that 1 in 3 Habitat homes are built by the Indian River Habitat Restore? And tax-deductible donations can be dropped off at the Habitat Restore just north of 45th Street on US 1 in Vero, or they'll pick them up for free. Support the store that builds homes. Visit online at irchabitat.org.
One of the great things about affordable water is you don't need to be a client for service. That's right, if you have equipment from almost anywhere else, it doesn't matter. Affordable Water will service or repair it. No contracts, no commitments, no problems. And no salespeople, just water technicians who will come out and service your existing water equipment. Affordable Water.
Call 589-7677. Or you reach 20, call the Pure Water Pros. Affordable water.
Dr. Stephen Tate offers the safest and most efficient technique for customized cataract surgery. Patients are personally counseled on the best approach for their needs and lifestyle. From multifocal lenses that allow for distance and reading vision to toric lenses that correct astigmatism, let New Vision Eye Center guide you safely through your options. For world-class eye care on the Treasure Coast, visit newvisioneyecenter.com.
Welcome back to Treasure Coast Connector. I'm your host, Ellen Contreras, and I've been speaking with Dr. Larthenia Howard of Anchor of Hope Therapy, and we were talking about the neurofeedback and all the different things that it helps. And I want to dive a little bit deeper into migraines, because you stopped me in my tracks a couple of weeks ago when you mentioned that neurofeedback can actually help people with migraines to reduce,
some of those symptoms, and the severity.
So tell me a little bit more about that.
Yeah. So with migraines, what we found is that usually people with migraines suffer from migraines have what we call an over-aroused brain, right? So when I was mentioning a little bit earlier about those brain waves and the brainwave speeds, so with migraines, beta brain waves, one of the faster brain waves, is probably one of the more dominant brain waves in a person who suffers with migraines. So in other words, their central nervous system is really overtaxed, right? And so you get that pain, those sharp pain, some of those symptoms that you might experience with migraines. So what the neurotherapy does is placing those sensors on different parts of the brain. It depends on where that's happening in the brain. It'll help that central nervous system to just calm down. And again, like I said, most clients are going to experience reduced symptoms in migraines. I was a migraine sufferer myself, and I did neurofeedback for a few months, and experienced it myself. And I still have migraines, but they're not nearly as intense as they were prior to.
Very good. Well, that's wonderful. And then the other thing, PTSD. Most people think about military, our veterans, which of course that, when they suffer from PTSD, it's a heartbreak, right?
Yeah, it is.
But it's also everyday people can have things happen in their lives that give them that diagnosis of PTSD. So how are you helping people in this arena? Yeah,
so with PTSD, then it's that stress response, right? It's that severe stress response. And like you said, it's not just people who are in the military. It could be from any type of trauma that gets lodged in the body and, again, overtaxes our central nervous system. The brain doesn't know what's real and what's not, right, in terms of experiences. And so when those unprocessed trauma is stored in the body, and something triggers it, whether it's a loud sound. I think you and I were talking about that a little bit earlier.
I have a hard time with that.
Or if it's, for some people, it might be something as sensitive as a smell that takes them back to a particular area or what have you. Whatever those triggers may be, we know that with PTSD, it primarily affects 3 parts of the brain. So that old part of the brain, what we call the amygdala, that old part of the brain, the hippocampus or the hypothalamus, as well as the frontal cortex. And so what we're doing in our practice is, knowing that information, we're able to use neurofeedback as well as a combination of that format that I talked about a little bit earlier in terms of how I approach therapy. We use a combination, depending on the candidate, to help clients be able to resolve some of those issues related to PTSD.
Wow. Okay, that's wonderful. So now the people that watch this on live stream and, on YouTube and things like that, they're seeing a graphic and they know how to get in touch with you. But this is airing on 7 podcasts and iHeartRadio. So now these people are saying, how do I get a hold of Dr. Howard? So give all of your information.
So you can go to the web at anchorofhopetherapy.com, anchorofhopetherapy.com, and you can find me there. There's a phone number there. You could also send an email to me directly there through the website.
Okay.
Yep.
Very good. Excellent. And also on Psychology Today, I know a lot of people find you there as well.
Thank you.
So,
yes, on Psychology Today as well.
Yeah, and your office is in Fort Pierce, which is great because, people just to the north and just to the south, it's very easy to get to you all over the Treasure Coast.
Very easy off from the Treasure Coast. And we're located, it's a beautiful office, Ellen.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Sometimes I just go in the office and just sit and look at the water. So we're right downtown. If you're familiar, right downtown Fort Pierce, river there, the intercoastal. And centrally located. So I have quite a few clients that are, Port St. Lucie, Fort Pierce, Vero Beach. I even have clients who travel as far as, from Melbourne and Palm Bay,
right,
that come up especially for the neurofeedback. And, I forgot to mention too, Ellen, with the neurofeedback, clients don't have to come to the office, every day for treatments for the neurofeedback. We have take-home systems as well.
Oh.
So we've made neurofeedback very convenient, the same type of technology. And I monitor. I'm able to monitor what my clients are doing at home real time.
Okay.
I can see what's happening in the brain real time. It's fabulous technology.
Okay. And you don't zap anybody, right?
Oh,
There's
no, we're
zapping?
not. No zapping. You won't feel
See
anything.
Where my brain goes. I just have this sixth sense of humor. I'm thinking if we can give a little impulse, I'll strap it to my husband and have fun.
Well, I was going to say, if that were the case, I'd be strapping my son. We'd be wrestling for the chair to get who'll get it in there first.
I know. I was like taking a sneak peek at the clock because that's another area we were talking about in the intro is behavioral issues sometimes with teenagers, right?
Yeah.
So teenagers, now some of them love to talk, but most of them clam up, especially when they're dealing with an issue. They just clam up. But you have a way of opening them up.
Yeah.
I loved how you said sometimes you take them out of the office for a walk along the water.
Yes, I do. And the reason I do that, Ellen, is because there's a couple things. One is I know that, well, let me back up. I use a combination, right, of what we know about how the brain works as well as developmental stages, what we know from theory and developmental stages. And so what we know about teens in the stage that they're in is, or adults, all adults, is that we seek security and safety. Right. And so anytime that is threatened, our brain is going to respond in a way that might not be so kind. Right. So for some of us, it's freeze, fight, flight. So one of the things that I do, like you mentioned, is with the walk and talk, I call it walk and talk therapy. But walk and talk therapy, I'm able to help teens. We're in a safe environment. Right. They're relaxed. And when they're relaxed, it kind of goes into the EMDR, the bilateral stimulation. Now, it's a little bit different. But what that is that if we can get the two brains, the left and the right brain, to crisscross, to interact together during talk therapy, probably high probability that you're going to get more honest communication. You're going to get digging into the emotions. And so that's one of the strategies that I use in terms of walking talk therapy, is to help teens to be able to relax. The brain doesn't feel like it's threatened, but at the same time, they're able to explore some of the deeper issues that they may present with.
Sometimes they feel a little more comfortable speaking with someone other than their parents initially, right? And then once that problem is brought to light and they see that there's a solution, then maybe they're more able to vocalize, to their parents. So I just want to say, for the parents that have teenagers, that you feel like you're at your wit's end. And sometimes these kids are straight A students. And
a lot of times.
It's not just the kids that are, doing silly stuff, but sometimes it's the kids that, seem to have it all together and they still need that outlet of help. Yeah. So again, your website, please. Oh, so there's mothers going, please, right now.
So our website again is Anchor of Hope Therapy. anchorofhopetherapy.com is where you'll find us.
That's wonderful, because you have pretty much, as a teacher and a principal, you've seen it all. I don't think anything surprises you, right?
Very little.
Yeah.
Very, very little at this stage.
Yeah. So that's why I love all of the transferable skills along with the litany of degrees that you have that just makes it so perfect for you to be in this situation to help so many people. And we're almost out of time. So Dr. Howard, thank you very much for being here.
You for having me.
For May as the National Mental Health Awareness Month. So I encourage, you individuals, families, couples to seek Dr. Larthenia Howard's help. My name is Ellen Contreras, the host of Treasure Coast Connector. I hope everyone has a safe, productive, wonderful week. And until next week, I miss you already.